The crackling of the campfire filled the cool night air as my friend Alex and I sat beneath a canvas of stars. We had ventured deep into the wilderness for a weekend of camping, seeking the tranquility and escape that only nature could provide. Little did we know, this journey would lead us face to face with a terror we could never have imagined. As the flames danced and cast eerie shadows on the surrounding trees, Alex leaned in closer, his voice barely above a whisper. "Hey, have you ever heard of the legend of the Skinwalker?" he asked, a mischievous glint in his eyes. I chuckled, not entirely sure if he was trying to spook me. "Come on, Alex. Skinwalkers are just old Navajo tales. They're not real." He raised an eyebrow and leaned back, gazing into the fire. "You sure about that?" "I've heard some pretty convincing stories from people who claim to have encountered them." Rolling my eyes playfully, I played along. "All right, fine. Hit me with your scariest Skinwalker story then." Alex's face grew serious as he began his tale. There was this group of campers, just like us, who were deep in the woods. One night, they heard strange noises outside their tents, like whispers in an unknown language and footsteps that seemed to change from human to animal. They thought it was just their imagination until they saw it. "Saw what?" I asked, intrigued despite myself. "A creature," Alex continued. "It looked like a twisted combination of man and beast. Its eyes glowed like hot embers, and its skin seemed to shift and ripple as if it couldn't decide what form to take." I scoffed, though I couldn't deny the chill that ran down my spine. "Come on, Alex, you can't seriously believe this stuff." He shrugged, a hint of uncertainty in his expression. "I'm just saying, there are things in this world that we don't fully understand. Legends don't just come from thin air." We fell into a thoughtful silence, the crackling of the fire punctuating the night. As the embers glowed, casting eerie shadows that seemed to dance to Alex's story, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching us from the darkness beyond the fire's reach. Hours passed, and fatigue eventually led us to retreat into our tents. The forest was eerily quiet, the wind rustling the leaves in an almost unsettling rhythm. I tried to dismiss Alex's story as nothing more than campfire tales, but my imagination had other plans. Every rustle, every distant call of a night creature, seemed amplified, magnified by the story he had spun. Just as I was about to drift into a restless sleep, a sound reached my ears, a whisper, soft and unintelligible. My heart raced, and I strained my ears to listen, convincing myself that it was just the wind playing tricks on me. But then, the sound grew clearer, as if it was coming from right outside my tent. Terror gripped me as I realized the whispers were in a language I couldn't understand. And then, the footsteps began, shifting from human to something primal, something inhuman. Panic surged through me, and I couldn't move, my eyes locked onto the fabric of my tent. Suddenly, the whispers ceased, and the footsteps stopped. The silence was deafening, and I could feel my pulse pounding in my ears. My heart seemed to stop altogether when I heard a voice that sounded like Alex's, but wrong, distorted. "Come out," it said, the words dripping with an unnatural resonance. "Come out and see." I held my breath, paralyzed with fear, as the voice repeated the chilling invitation. The air grew colder, and the outline of my tent seemed to shift and warp as if reality itself was bending. It was then that I heard Alex's voice from outside the tent. "Hey, are you awake? I heard something. We should check it out." I hesitated, my mind a whirlwind of conflicting thoughts. Was this a cruel prank, or had the legend somehow come to life? My curiosity battled with my fear, and finally, I mustered the courage to unzip the tent and step outside. As the fabric parted, I was met with a sight that defied all reason. Alex stood before me, his eyes glowing like hot embers, his skin rippling and shifting as if he couldn't decide what form to take. My breath caught in my throat as the realization hit me like a tidal wave. I was face to face with the unimaginable, the Skinwalker from Alex's story. I stumbled back, every instinct in my body screaming at me to run, to escape the nightmare that had become reality. But my legs were rooted to the spot, my mind paralyzed by the sheer terror of the moment. "Come with me," the distorted voice that sounded like Alex's called to me, its unnatural resonance echoing through the woods. With a surge of adrenaline, I finally found my voice, the primal instinct for survival breaking through my paralysis. I turned and fled into the darkness, the forest around me a labyrinth of shadows and unknown horrors. As I ran, the forest seemed to close in around me, the trees twisting and contorting in ways that defied the laws of nature. The whispers followed me, and I could feel the skinwalker's presence at my heels, a relentless pursuer that was one step ahead of me at every turn. I stumbled, my foot catching on a root, and I fell to the ground. With a primal scream, I pushed myself up and sprinted forward, my heart pounding in my chest, my breath ragged. Finally, I burst through the tree line, stumbling into the moonlit clearing where our campsite had been. But the campfire was nothing more than smoldering embers, and there was no sign of Alex. I collapsed onto the ground, gasping for breath, my mind reeling from the nightmare I had just lived through. Whether it was the result of a cruel prank or something far more sinister, I couldn't be sure. All I knew was that the legend of the Skinwalker was no longer just a tale told around the campfire. It was a chilling reality that had forever changed the way I looked at the world. As I sat there, shivering and shaken to my core, the wind seemed to carry whispers that I couldn't understand, a reminder that there are things in this world that defy explanation, that lurk just beyond the edge of our reality, waiting to be discovered by those who dare to venture into the unknown.